on this computer. Outstanding. Let's see here. Allowed to record. Do you need a multi-pin? What else can I give you?
I need to be able to share screen and to record.
Right.
Okay.
How do I let you share screen?
There's a little up arrow to the right of the share screen, right? The little pointy upper, right where it says share screen on the bottom. The icon, there's a little up arrow to the right of it, and then
Got
say
it.
allow multiple
Multiple
participants to
participants.
share.
That is selected.
Yes.
Multiple participants is selected on the share screen.
Done deal.
All right. Outstanding. Dave, welcome. I'm excited to have you.
Thanks.
So
And,
this is
go ahead.
from go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, for me personally, I'm concerned because we're already awake. Vinny and I are already awake. I'm probably going to have other members of my team jumping in. What I want to do is I want to challenge you, and it's going to be really hard because we already know what's going on. We're already so what we want to hit. We'd like to hit frequently asked questions through your presentation. There's a couple that have come up that I want to throw at you, but obviously you've got an outstanding outline that you're probably going to hit as you've done with other interviews, and that in and of itself is
I just follow the questions, whatever you guys want to talk about. I have no plan when I go on.
good. Okay, so well, let's start as John Ford and the Quiet Man. Let's begin at the beginning. So, how did David Weiss become Flat Earth Dave?
I started looking into flat Earth. You know, we've all been programmed our lives to laugh at it, to not, to think it's the dumbest thing ever, and to never look at it. Now, when you start looking at proof for the globe, like this is the best proof for the globe right here, a cartoon. Okay. When you look at flat Earth, you have real videos of a flat, non-rotating Earth. Okay. That should be enough. But then I went in to debunk it, just probably like you guys did too. When you first heard about flat Earth, I'm sure you laughed at it. Then you tried to debunk it. Welcome to flat Earth.
Well, did you have a bit of a corporate America background? Can you get into that a little bit? What were you doing to pay your bills and suddenly you went down deep into the rabbit hole with your own podcast and were challenged?
Yeah, I was a businessman where I worked in New York City. I worked all over the place on the East Coast here. I joined a successful large solar company and helped them start a commercial division. Then they were bought out by another big solar company that didn't like commercial and they shut it down. So I took a year off and then I did some consulting, and then I started my own solar company, a better version of the company that I worked for, with two partners. And that was doing super well. I was doing a conspiracy podcast for years, just for fun, just for have, a little side fun, nothing for money, just to discuss the deceptions of the world. It started off with the Federal Reserve and what money is. And then it just expanded into all the deceptions. And then flat Earth came up,
So would you call your experience in solar a predisposition towards free, clean energy and possibly questioning the machine and big electric and
Well, sure. That's one of the reasons I got into it. It was a hot, growing industry. And what I saw, it made a lot of sense in certain areas. I felt I was doing good for the world. But one of the funny things in solar is, even the best scientists in our world don't know how solar panels work. They have a theory that photons are knocking out boron molecules from the silicon wafer and creating, an electron fills into space and it creates current. No, they can't figure it out because they think the sun is a burning ball 93 million miles away throwing photons at us, when in fact it's an electric source right here within the Earth system, and it's sending electricity, right? And the solar panels are collecting that electricity and funneling it into channels.
that is absolutely critical. I also want to introduce my dear beloved friend Billy Watson, who's a phenomenal researcher, host, entertainer, and regular guy. Billy, love you, man. Good to see you.
Thanks for having us. Hello, David. I look forward to the chat. Cheers.
So, David, what you just said is very, very scary. It's very similar to what I have been promoting which is that scientists know nothing about science. Scientists know nothing particularly about the scientific method. And for instance, we're getting into the coronavirus and whether or not experts, what I have found is 99% of the experts on the coronavirus have no idea what a virus is. They're just regurgitating what they've learned, and what they've been taught is false.
You know, it's funny you mentioned how scary that is. It is super scary. I did a podcast with, I think, Jay Campbell. Campbell's his last name. A great guy, great podcaster, into some serious truths. I successfully flat smacked him in the friendliest way, and he could see it all. But it's such a lot to take in. I just tuned into his podcast yesterday, and he had a great guy who was all smart about the coronavirus, talking about, you know, what's happening with the jab, with all of that stuff. And then he started talking about nuclear bombs and the galaxy, and how long we've been here. And for 20 minutes, he went on with this amazing story of indoctrination that there's zero proof of. It's all nonsense. It's all NASA nonsense.
I have a metaphor for you, David. I have a metaphor for you. So there's a vast ocean of unknown that you have been kept. You've been told you're not allowed to swim. It's dangerous. And you put your toe in and you realize maybe it's not so dangerous. So you've got your family and friends there behind you, and you say, oh, this looks like fun. Let me go and swim in this ocean of unknown and find out for myself. But you're holding on to them. And so you have to have a connection back to the land of lies. And you swim out only so far because you got to hold on to them. It is disturbing that I've seen people who are willing to accept, for instance, and I don't want to put you on the spot. I've not heard you on Trump, Biden, trafficking, Epstein, and all that stuff, but it disturbs me how anyone could say, okay, yeah, child trafficking is absolutely an issue. The Democrats are in, but the Republicans aren't. Stop. So you acknowledge that on a broad level, on a macro level, that this is a problem, that this is a gateway to that this criminal behavior is a gateway, but then you want to hold on to a semblance of the lie and say, okay, well, Trump wasn't in it, but these other guys are. I can't think off the top of my head. You either question authority or you don't. It's just basically what I'm saying. You either question authority or don't. You don't question one chunk of authority and then step back and say, well, I believe all this other authority. These guys are lying to me, but these guys aren't.
Well, you know, the way it works with space is, you know, they're like, you know, you got the story of the planets and the galaxy and the solar system, how it works. And then, you know, one guy will be like, hey, here's photos from Mars, and I see, you know, crushed buildings and pyramids and faces, you know, and then another guy comments on it also, and another researcher mentions it. Well, therefore, 3 researchers mentioned it, therefore it must be real. It's all pseudoscience. It's all complete and total nonsense. I mean, as you guys know, the things that we call planets are nothing like that. They're not terra firma. They're something within our Earth system. So, you know, watching people just regurgitate this lifelong indoctrination, you got to ask yourself, you know, what proof do you have? And they have none, but They think they do because, well, what this guy said matches what I was taught in my textbook in college, which, you know, matches what I saw on you know, Cosmos with Carl Sagan, which matches what Neil deGrasse Tyson's saying. Well, it's all nonsense.
Here's what we've found. As soon as you realize you've been lied to, you become a conspiracy theorist. Well, the follow on to that is that, okay, if you realize that you were lied to about the Kennedy assassination, the Lincoln assassination, the moon landing, stop, pull back, big picture. You now understand you have to be your own investigator. You have to be your own scientist. You have to be your own healthcare. You have to do it all yourself. And the problem is, Dave, nobody wants to do all that work. So they get lazy and say, okay, well, I question the moon landing, but I don't question space travel.
I know how people can, there were so many people, and you know what? And I can't fault them because that was me. I was like, we're not going back to the moon because there's aliens there, and they told us not to come back. I actually believe that. Okay, at one point in my life, it's embarrassing, but you know, there's crazy. But these are all just things that you try to make sense of all the stuff that you're taught or indoctrinated with. It's beyond anything I can fathom.
We're gonna do big picture when you're ready. But what we found is,
Did you guys freeze?
check test. I'm okay. Are you frozen? Check test.
Can you hear me?
Your picture is frozen, but I can hear you.
Oh boy.
Let's wait this out. Check test. Okay, I think you're back. How's your audio? You've lost us.
Yeah. You hold on. Something's up with my internet. You guys froze. I couldn't hear anything for a bit. Can we pause the recording and then and start again? And let me just.
Oh, hello, Dave.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Stand by, George. I've got you. Can you hear me?
Hey,
Check
let
test.
me give me 2 minutes. Let me reboot my.
You know,
Whoops! Don't.
All right. I got you, and then you froze again.
maybe if it removes the Zoom background, it just has a green screen sometimes. That could free up.
Yeah, hopefully, but I liked it. I like the green screen. Hopefully it's not draining his.
No, it's not. Guys, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
My internet's running at 300 right now, so I don't know why anything's coming in choppy.
Well,
you can't hear me.
I can hear you. Yes, and of course we are conspiracy theorists, so I'm already a little suspicious.
First, so my I have a an extender that was off, so I was reaching the far internet, and so that explains the choppiness. But now so I was running at like 20 or 30. Now I'm over 300. There shouldn't be a glitch.
Okay.
All right.
No, there shouldn't. Sometimes they happen anyway, mysteriously. Yeah. Okay, great. So let's see if we can pick up where we left off.
Could you set up recording again for me?
Yes.
Sorry
okay.
about that.
Do you need allow record files?
There we go. Good to go.
And we still have multiple participants on the screen share. You should be good to go.
All right. So where were we? Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's see where we're background truth. Oh yeah. So what frustrates me, Dave, is when I deal with people who are willing to accept a massive amount of fraud and criminality and lies from authority figures, and then they pull up, stop short, and accept a massive amount of lies from a different set of authority figures. And so what George and I usually say at a point like this is, once you realize that one area is subterfuge and disinformation and lies for the purpose of enslaving you, you now have to question everything at the micro or the macro. As soon as it is difficult for you to verify yourself, just count on you being lied to. Just count on it.
I always say that if you default that everything that you hear on the news is fake, and you bet $100 on every news story, you'll be rich, because very few are real. And when you talk to people like you were mentioning, they start off with, I can't believe that they could do this. I can't believe people. So they're saying they can't believe. They're telling you already that they're not going to believe it. And it's really difficult for good people. I think, all people are born good. You have your soul, and you're a good person. For them to believe that there's this much dishonesty in the world, to put it nicely, it's too much. It's too much for people to deal with. And they also say, I would hate being you, because you look at the whole world as everything is fake. Well, I look at the world the way it is, and the way it is, the way it is, and they're lying. And William Casey, the CIA director, who said when everything's when American people, everything the American people believe is fake, our job will be complete. I heard that years and years and years ago. I'm like, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. No, that's dead on, dead on, and we are there. This might be an intelligence test we're going through right now. Okay, they're literally weeding out the NPCs of this world.
I think the scamdemic is the writing on the wall. They realize that humanity is reaching the saturation points that the every lie has a shelf life. And sometimes that shelf life is centuries, and sometimes it's months, and sometimes it's only weeks. It depends on how much is invested in the lie. And this is their last great bacchanalia, their last great bonfire. They're going for broke and pushing it as hard as they can. And our cosmology was a big part of it. Now, here's a concern that I have, Dave. It's what we've also seen is that when they realize their expiration is coming due on a lie, they will put their own agents in front of the truth to steer it down bad directions.
They're psychopaths. They flip the table over when they're cornered. So the way I see it right now is there's two things they're trying to protect. One is, the way they keep us, when people say, what does flat earth matter? Say the world doesn't matter. It's the lie that matters. It's not letting you know what your potential is. It's keeping you in a world of fear, a world of shortage, a world of, mine, protect yourself, when the opposite is true. And that's how they control us. Well, that cat is out of the bag. It's out of the bag, right? And with the internet, maybe it got away from them a little bit. They're trying to rein it in, but they need to push us to the point where nobody cares, where we're beyond the point of being able to have that a lead focus in our life. They want us to the point where we're just barely surviving. And the other thing that is the rulers of our realm, the rulers that rule over us, are the bankers. And that's coming to an end too, with the end of the fiat currency and the threat of cryptocurrency. Now they're trying to get a hold of cryptocurrency, but cryptocurrency has morphed into stuff that they can't control, like privacy coins and whatnot. So they need to flip the tables over to maintain control.
I'm very concerned in relation to anything digital. To me, if it's digital, it's not secure. And
I'm with you. But think about our money. Our money is digital at this point. I mean, dollars, they just print them out of nowhere. They type ones and zeros in. They're inflating the crap out of it. Something like a privacy coin that has a limited amount that can never be duplicated. You can't forfeit it. You can't inflate it. You can't do anything other than just have the circulated amount. Again, if the power goes out, the internet goes down, everything goes down. If the power goes out and the internet goes down, and you had $100,000 in the bank and $100,000 in crypto, well, when the power comes up, the $100,000 in the bank is probably going to be gone. The crypto will still be there, and you don't need the middleman. Again, I'm not pushing crypto. I'm just saying crypto is the kryptonite for the bankers. And we need an effective method to trade. Everyone's like silver and gold. Well, guess what? Let's say, Johnny, you needed. So, hey, Dave, I need some money. I was like, hey, I got some silver. How long will it take me to get you that silver? And when you get that silver, what are you going to do with it? Someone's got to verify that it's real. I could send you crypto in a split second for a penny.
One thing is for sure, Dave, is they had us with the central bank in 1913.
Yep.
So once they were able to devalue the currency, they had us. So here's an easy one in relation to the agents of disinformation of the machine. And we also want to talk about the big picture. Who is the machine? Getting out in front. Flat Earth Society. That's an easy one. Are you willing to mention any other egregious examples of people who are out there questioning cosmology and possibly doing more harm than good, and you're suspicious that they're doing it on purpose?
Yeah, so there's the known shills, and the known shills are Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye, the lying guy with the bow tie, and Brian Lying Box, I call him Brian Cox, and then you have the Flat Earth Society, which if someone's Googling, you end up at the Flat Earth Society, where you see images like this, ridiculous, and they want you to laugh at this. Then they have their other active, um, you know supposedly just internet, YouTube guys like by man Dan and not Professor Dave and a couple others that are out there, and they full time just go after us, straw man us, light us up with nonsense, and they misrepresent us, and they will never talk to us live, even though they're like, I'm going to invite a flat earther on my show, but none will accept. We're all accepting to have a live show, but none of them will do it because we will destroy them. Neil deGrasse Tyson says he's the one doing the most damage. The science is settled. Well, that just shows that he's full of it, because science is never settled.
What do you think about the flat out debate chat that goes on every day, like Nathan Oakley and those guys?
Yeah, so Nathan Oakley, he's got his style, and he's dead right. And so what he does is he rounds up all of those trolls. They go over there, not the ones that I just mentioned, but just these other guys that will talk to you that are just, I don't even know what to call them, globe heads. But they'll just go at it, and Nathan destroys them in a comical way, in a super comical way. Nathan is doing a good service. I don't like hanging out over there. It's toxic. Okay. But occasionally, like if there's nothing to listen to, I'll like, yeah, Nathan's on, and I'll listen, and it never disappoints. So, but again, Nathan also takes things a little too far sometimes. Like there's a big argument it's a healthy argument. What is causing things to go down? Well, we know that mass doesn't attract things down, and we can prove that, we all agree that buoyancy and density sort things out, but what makes things go down? And Nathan's camp believes that it's just buoyancy and density. We believe that it's the negative charge of the earth that attracts everything weakly. It just says, hey, down is this way. Everyone, down is this way. It's the same for everybody. If we all point down, we're all pointing down. Down is down. Like in someone in Australia, down is down. Down is not up. Down is down. And then buoyancy and density sort everything else out. It's a healthy debate, but these guys, they go over the top. They'll call people shills. If you think there's you're no better than the people that claim gravity. Well, we can test. We can do experiments that show you that a negative charge will reverse what gravity is. Let me see if I have an example. So just for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, the Earth has a measurable, testable, scientifically provable negative charge. Well, and when you lift off the Earth, there's voltage in the air. 1 meter, it goes up by 100 volts per meter. Okay, so that's a lot of energy in the air. But so you're in the air, you're attracted to the Earth just by that negative charge, and then buoyancy and density sort everything else out. So how do you prove something like that? Well, you can do experiments like, where is it? As I'm talking, I'm just trying to find it. You can, here it is. So you ever see one of these things? You put a negative charge into it, and it just lifts off the Earth. Okay. Well, that's kind of telling you something. That negative charge is repelling it from the Earth. And there's all, you can take a, Zach Zimbala on his channel, he took a Van der Graaf generator and made a metal plate over the ground, and then he put different things underneath it, and they all went up. When that negative charge got stronger than the Earth, they went up. Metal filings, sawdust, paper, hair, just little light things, of course, because the Earth's negative charge is, it's pretty powerful. It's a weak force, but it's coherent.
What makes sense? Right. What makes sense for me, Dave, at this point is the realization of just what a role electricity and electromagnetic radiation play in human health, and the understanding of how much human body electrical fields affect the human body, and how much the human body maintains its own electrical field, and how doctors and medicine have completely ignored these to our own detriment, because they're gatekeepers too.
Yeah, and not all. I mean, doctors are gatekeepers, but they don't know it. They're just indoctrinated.
Right. Because that's where the Latin word comes from, docere. That's where the Latin word, it has nothing to do with health, making you healthy. It has everything to do with propaganda.
So the
and
Rockefellers put the chemical textbooks together and said, if you can memorize this, we'll give you a license to perform medicine. Right?
You'll be in the club, Dave. You'll be in the club.
Yeah.
And you can make big money by staying in the club. But if you leave the club, we'll take away the license and you won't be able to make the big money, pay off your debt, and maintain the Audi, Lexus, Mercedes, and gated community and all that.
I've heard stories from doctors that have left the community, lost their licenses, where they're cancer doctors and they know somebody has a specific type of cancer. They have a 99.5% chance of dying. If they have a 100% chance of dying. But with the set therapy, they have like a 0.5% chance of living. But they also know that if they gave them vitamin D and put them on, whatever it is, that they have a 99% chance of living and surviving. But they're not allowed to do that or they lose their license.
Oncology, cancer is the biggest criminal outrage in the history of healthcare.
Yeah, I have friends that are oncologists and they're good people. They just are trapped in the system.
Unbelievable. So there's a couple of different things that are causing us problems here as great guys like you are out there trying to wake people up about their cosmology. There are egos, and then there's people who are knowingly trying to sow discord and disinformation. And then there are just people that just are just kind of fumbling around, getting things wrong, and they'd rather be wrong than serve truth. I have to mention Dave Murphy. What I don't remember his handle. What do they call him?
Dave Murphy 25, whatever. Dave
yeah,
Murphy.
yeah. Only Dave or something Dave.
Allegedly Dave.
Allegedly Dave. And he's on this kick of ingesting his own urine. And I'm like, I have no idea about them. I'm really not interested in the legitimacy of that. I've not looked into that. But what a great way to discredit the overall. Okay, so you go out, you make a name for yourself, questioning cosmology, so-called flat Earth. I hate that term, flat Earth, a cosmology questioner, and then immediately associate with the crazy offhand idea of ingesting your own urine. It's tailor-made. It's tailor-made.
So hang on a second. Are you a fan of Eric Dubay?
Eric woke me up, and then I got from Eric, Hitler is misunderstood. Jesus is, what does he say about Christians? And I'm born again Christian. So I have concerns. Question and follow-up question for you, Dave. Where are all the experts? Well, we already know the experts. They're accredited and licensed and won't come off the plantation.
So
what do you got for Eric?
Let me go back to this. So Eric Dubay is pushing his views on religion. He came up with he was one of the first people out with the dinosaurs don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
He is questioning the Holocaust, and a lot of people flip out and say, well, he's a shill because he's mixing these together. Well, these are his beliefs, and a lot of them have legitimacy. And I don't get into religion, but everyone has their own point of view on religion. Mine is, if you're a good person, don't interfere with anyone else's free will, and are good to your neighbor, you're a good person. That's basically it. So again, whatever belief you have works for you and it's real for you, and that's fine. But Dave Murphy, when I first heard about urine therapy, I thought it was insane. Well, do you guys know Amanda Vollmer? Do you know who she is?
Does she promote it too?
Oh, she's all about it. But if you look, I again, it's like flat Earth. I'm not looking into this. Okay. And then I looked into it. And if you look at it, it's actually insane. And I know many stories of people that have had major problems and urine therapy fixed it.
Again, I will keep an open mind.
Here it is. It's not for everybody. If it's like, I can't imagine, why are you having such the reaction you have to it? The reaction that you have to urine therapy is similar to the reaction you had about flat Earth.
Yes,
because we were
my concern
taught.
is my concern is that it's very easy to turn people off when you're trying to hook them with the truth.
That's why.
That's my concern.
So I'll say it right here. I'm a believer that urine therapy has its place. I don't like talking about it because it triggers too many people. I don't like
Right.
talking about the Holocaust because it triggers too many people. I don't like
Right.
talking about there's lots of things that I don't talk about because I'm focusing on something that I can get your attention with, right? If I start mixing all these other things, then I'm gonna lose some people here and lose some people here. Now I'm down 50%.
I'll give you an example. There's a guy by the name of David Politis who was law
Missing
enforcement.
411.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So similar issue of missing children and then mixing up with Bigfoot. So
there's another one. I used to laugh at Bigfoot. Bigfoot is like a cartoon name. There is something that we are unaware of that is here. You know, I mean, if you've looked into giants in our past, are you aware there was giants? Okay.
Yeah.
We also, if this is the spectrum of light, we can only see this. Okay. So we can, so who knows what the hell is freaking right outside our vision? Who knows what was here? We think we're at the pinnacle of intelligence in society. We are at the fucking bottom if you compare it to the last, couple hundred years. Okay. Everything is inverted. So again, David Politis, he's in the woods. Well, he's going to come across Bigfoot information. So again, mixing it together, sure, it triggers people. You're going to lose some people. But first thing I say is don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you don't like that information, just pay attention to the part you do like. But if it's something you look into, don't look in there because you're going to fall down that hole and you're never going to come out.
Right. Yeah. So the reason why we're brought this up is to try and discern, very, very difficult how to discern who is trustworthy. And really, you just don't blanket trust anybody. You have to verify everything that you're hearing, and you have to be your own scientist. Real quick. Now, my own background is ethnic Italian, fourth generation Italian, born and raised Roman Catholic, and had a conversion experience in college in 1994 and became a born again Christian. And I joke with people and I tell them I was a Catholic before I became a Christian because people normally say, well, wait, Catholics are Christians.
I like that.
So can I ask you, do you have a background, ethnicity, religion, all that kind of good stuff? What are you now?
I was born Jewish. I guess I'm Jewish, but I know less about Judaism than most people that hate Jews. Okay. So I looked into all different religions and stuff, and I never bought any of it. I didn't believe in a creator. I believed in evolution. I believed in the whole nonsense model. And then when I discovered flat Earth, I'm like, oh, great. There's a creator. Okay. And then where you take it once, so there's a verse in the Bible. I gotta just freaking write down what verse it is. Basically, it says, once you see my creation, you no longer have any excuse to deny my existence. Well, the psychopaths that are running this world don't want us in that situation. Well, when I saw flat Earth, I can no longer deny the creator. Okay. And then who the creator is to you, your personal relationship with the creator, I think that's personal. I think you can keep that to yourself. I think you can share it with people, but not force it upon them. Okay.
Sure.
And if somebody doesn't buy the way you see it, that's their choice. That's fine. Okay. But if you want to share your experience with the creator with somebody, share it. There's a lot of people that do that. Like Rob Skiba, he shares his point of view. He never forces it upon anybody. And that's how this world is supposed to be, in my opinion.
Go ahead, Vinny.
Well, David, I agree with the stuff you're saying. To get back to I wanted to get back to why did you bring up Eric Dubay? Because I've been a flat earther for 10 years, literally 10 years. And in the beginning, it was just Eric Dubay and Matt Powerland. That was literally the only two people when I was doing it. I'm someone who was also not Christian at that time or anything. And it like you said, it right away makes you say, wow, there's the creator, this is the creation, everything's close. But I just wanted to ask you why you brought up Eric Dubay and if there's anything on him or Matt Powerland, because those were like the first two that I really remembered.
Yeah, me too. They were right up there, and and Mark Sargent, and people are calling him a shill because Mark isn't a shill. Mark is a dork, a great dork. Okay. And I don't agree with everything he says, but people are like, oh, he's doing this. Mark and I, we've talked for years. And like, sometimes like, hey, Mark, do you ever think of saying this? He goes, oh, that's a good idea. I'll use that. And he's been getting better and better and better. The reason I brought up Eric Dubay is because you were bringing up Dave Murphy and tying urine therapy to it, thinking that that's going to discredit it. Well, Eric tied the Holocaust right to it, and mainstream media actually went with it, and they're like, oh, these flat earthers are Holocaust deniers. Okay, he didn't
The only
do
thing
it
I
on
thought was
purpose.
weird is when he dressed like Patricia Steer and he was like
Yeah, that was
cross-dressed.
see,
That
that's
was the
why.
only thing that I was like, calm down,
Yeah.
Eric. But
So Eric, with his attacking of Mark Sargent, he attacked me. I'm probably still on his friggin' wall of shame on his IFRS thing that I can't get on because I'm blocked. Not that I even tried, but he called me a shill. All right, like it's just, some people, I say Eric Dubay is great, but he doesn't play nice with others. Okay. But Eric just
That's
did
why I
that
was
thing,
curious
that
what your
video
opinion
with
was.
Hibbler and ODD and stuff. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people liked it, but it's not for people like us. It's for somebody new. Now, you would have to be somebody that doesn't hate rap music. If you're new to, like, you've never heard of Flat Earth, or you just don't know anything about it, and you like rap music, that's the #1 video you should watch. Level. Okay. And people are like, people that hate rap music, like, oh, it'd be good, but you have all these rappers on there. Well, you know what? I liked it. I'm not a huge fan of rap music, but I liked it a lot. So
if it's good, it's good.
yeah, it's good. But here's the thing: not everything is good for everybody. Everything, it's different for everybody. If I could find something that's good for 10% of the people, I'll put it out because that's 10% of the people that it's good for. And then I'll find something that's good for 40% of the people. Now I got 50% covered.
Oh, wait. I just remember one more name I wanted to bring up. I don't know if a lot of people know this guy, but he was back like 10 years ago when I was getting into this. But he's like, I don't know if he's all there in the head. Stephen Christ.
Oh boy.
Okay,
he's not
good.
all there in the head. I think he's in jail or
I
dead
heard
right
he's in
now.
jail again. He's in jail again.
Yeah, and he did this
anything on
concave.
him and the concave.
He's a concave right there. I'll tell you one thing. He's awesome at 3D graphics. He's the best at 3D graphics. Okay.
He's pretty
And
smart
so
on a
his
lot of
whole
the stuff.
concave thing, and the thing is, when I heard about concave Earth, I'm like, that is friggin' ridiculous. But I got to look into it, and I followed this stuff for a while, and I'm like, yeah, but it's not making sense. It falls apart in certain areas. Okay. You can argue it. The thing about this world is, and maybe the creator did it this way on purpose. It works. A lot of things work the same on a flat Earth and a concave Earth and a globe Earth. They work the same, right?
Yeah.
I always say there's 3 baskets. Works on a ball Earth, works on a flat Earth, works on flat Earth and a ball Earth. Well, nothing ever goes into that first basket. Nothing ever goes into the ball only basket. Everything. And I was like, how full do these other 2 baskets have to be before you're going to go, all right, no, it's not a ball.
I actually have one thing, if Johnny, if you don't mind, I'm sorry. I'm really excited. You're like a rock star flat earther to me, David. I've been really excited and waiting to talk to you. To me, something that doesn't, like you were saying, all that stuff does make sense where it could be on a ball, flat earth, but there's a couple of things that haven't made sense to me. And I've heard you and Jannerism and them mentioned it in the past, but I've actually been open to Pac-Man theory. I'm one of the rare people who talks about Pac-Man. And the whole thing on a ball or flat or the circular dish, I don't understand how there could be an east or a west, and there's like a starting point. And these are things that always, like, I wonder if we're still not getting something. Like, could it be that the sun's rising in the east and setting in the west, and like Pac-Man coming back around? Could it just be a straight thing over us? I'm open to ideas.
And again, I'm always willing to look at new information. I looked into that a lot. I mean, east and west are very, very simple. Magnetic north, Mount Meru, we'll call it, right? You put your compass down, and that needle has to point towards the center. So I'm pushing.
I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, though, like how they basically, like they say, the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. The time zones and all these things. I don't know if you heard of like the Allure Islands, where it's like the islands are close, but it's like 21 hours apart. Like there's little things that are thrown out there. Where I'm like,
those things that's very, very interesting to me. But it makes perfect sense though on a circle map with the way the sun comes around. And again, are you familiar with the personal atmospheric dome? I'm sure you've been in this for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was with the circle for years, but the past 2 years, people have brought up stuff. Another one was me literally seeing the sun, like in March 3rd. It was like dark, 5 o'clock every day. I mean, like, it was dark 5 o'clock, like the whole winter. Then like March 3rd comes and boom, in one day, the sun's like an hour different. And then they do the stuff with the clocks to like kind of hide this, I think. But it's literally like the sun jumped it like came up a different angle.
Right around the
I'm wondering, how
equinox,
does that
right
work?
around the equinox, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like the sun's literally jumping, but how does, if it's on a circular dish, like most of us flat earthers are believing, where is that spot where it just all of a sudden jumped over? Could it be Pac-Man, where it's just went through a different window?
Yeah, but it would have to
now-
Pac-Man every day.
Yeah. I know.
Like the whole equinox thing is that's interesting to me. That might be a pivot point, and I'm not the right guy to ask about this. There's other people that have done it, but the circle thing makes sense to me. It works.
Until I seen it jump so much, and it has like these certain days it jumps, and I'm like,
yeah, can you document that? I'd like to see that. I mean, that's
yeah.
again,
I mean, with
hard
my
thing to do.
physical, yeah. I mean, physically, and I started saying it in chats. I don't know if I even said it in a Janarism chat, and I started saying to people like, "Hey, have you noticed the sun in one day is like over an hour difference? That wasn't a gradual thing."
Yeah.
So how does that work even on a circular flat Earth?
So again,
I know we're not on a ball.
Right.
I'm with you, but
so there's we go through these cycles, whatever they are, and the sun again is, in my opinion, is being projected. The sun that we see is being projected. So for that to make a big move, it's just a little. It's something that's beyond our world. It could easily be done, but. Have you heard my talk on outward flow of civilizations with Sophia Smallstorm?
yeah,
Yeah.
very interesting.
So the sun, in my opinion, perhaps decided instead of oscillating in here, it decided to go out here. This was all ice at the time, right? And so the sun's oscillating here between the two tropics, and all of a sudden it goes out here. It starts oscillating out here, melts all of this snow out here. Massive flood in here, mud flood, right? And then however long later, a year, 10 years, 50 years, 100 years, whatever time, a new sun is born in the north underneath a star, okay?
Interesting.
And it would be the savior of all the people that are freezing in the friggin' cold, that have been surviving, struggling. All of a sudden, a new sun, new world, and this new world that remelts out here has no idea that there's another world out here. This is a more
I see
advanced
there's
world.
even an old Buddhist map. Did you see a Buddhist map where it showed the same thing with the ring, and then there was more land outside the ring?
Yeah.
And then same thing like that. They found a Buddhist map. I don't know if you've seen. That was like 1,000 years old. That was showing basically what you're showing there.
Right. You got this map that was found, a Japanese map.
Oh, maybe that's the one I think I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay,
and,
that is the one.
And so again, there's lots of possibilities. These are fun things to talk about. There's other people that are like, no, God only mentions, the dome, the firmament, that's all there is. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's our book. Maybe there's another book for the next puddle. Maybe there's 1,000 puddles. Maybe God, who knows?
Well, I can tell you that the Bible is not meant to be all inclusive. From a Christian perspective, the Bible is meant to deliver a message.
Sure.
It's not meant to be all inclusive. And by the way, I do have a passage for you, although it's a New Testament passage. Romans 1 talks about the creation, and verse 20, since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without an excuse. And let me bring on Billy, because Billy's got some great questions for you. And Billy, were you the one asking Dave about Dave was fixing his internet, wanted to know about his t-shirt? Muammar Gaddafi flat earther?
No, I wasn't the one asking about that.
I think it was George then.
Muammar Gaddafi, I will claim he is a flat earther.
Okay, cool. All right, too bad. Maybe that was a body double that they killed off on him, and he's there on.
Or maybe I don't. Again, is he dead or not? I don't know. But Muammar Gaddafi, in my opinion, was the greatest leader of all times. Have you guys ever seen my video, "The Great Man-Made River"?
No, I have not seen your video, but I'm vaguely familiar with the irrigation projects that he had going on.
The Great Man-Made River.
It
was the largest aquifer project in world history. He discovered an ocean of water, primary water underneath the desert, an endless ocean of pristine water. Well, that's the waters below, waters above and waters below. And so he started building these pipes all across Africa. Any family that wanted to have a farm, he would give them land, water, soil, seeds, cattle,
He was
tractors,
against the
everything.
central bank too, right?
Right. And he was, all these organic farms were popping up all across Africa. He was going to feed all of Africa. Okay. And when he was done after 40 years, the UN went in and blew it up with depleted uranium bombs. Okay. That's the biggest crime in history. And people, you know, when I'm trying to find it because I lost it when my old channel got taken down. Gaddafi made a speech in the 70s in the UN, and the news covered it like, this guy is a terrorist. You know, we were going to have to do something about him. And he's speaking in, is it Libyan that they speak? What is language? Libyan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I don't know if it's something else. And he just looked like an angry, scary guy to a kid and to everybody. And then years later, I found that speech and somebody translated it. And he was basically saying that the New World Order is going to take over the world. They're going to use a virus to take over the world. And I think he even said the date, you know, that around this time.
Wow.
Right. And then he was doing all sorts of stuff. He got off the dollar, selling gold, oil for gold. And just,
Yeah, they speak Arabic.
Yeah. And here's the thing, you know, they say, well, you know, he drives down the road, standing up out of his sunroof, waving to everybody. He walks down the street and people hug him and kiss him. Right. And we were told, well, that's because if they don't, he'll cut their heads off. Okay. Well,
Yep.
That's nonsense. He was like Libya, when he took over, was the lowest the lowest educated, poorest country in Africa. And he brought it up to the top. College, free. Higher college, free. Medical, free. You need an operation, they couldn't do it there. They'll fly you to another country, get it done. Electricity, 14 cents. Is electricity 14 cents or gas was 14 cents? All the profits from the gas went to the people, not to the corporations.
I heard Chavez was trying to do that, right? Or something. Or,
I'm not sure, but
and
you
they
know,
like
it'd be great.
kidnapped him. Then like the CIA kidnapped him. He thought he was going to be dead.
Yeah.
They let him live, but he was trying to do some of the same things in South America.
Right.
I can tell you before we bring Billy in that how I paid my bills before I got here was 20 years in the military, and I started off not being particularly happy and ended up being very, very unhappy. I found that everywhere the United States military went, it caused chaos, death, and destruction. And in particular, after I became a born-again Christian, it made life absolutely disgusting and miserable for Christians. Christians were far better off under Saddam Hussein in Iraq and far better off under Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. So
yeah. The turning point for me was I live in Connecticut on the 95 corridor here. And during Obama's presidency, he was going to be coming down from, upstate, into New York. And I was trying to get on the highway, but the highway was blocked off with cars. And I found out they block off like 10 exits. And then they have 10 different black limos come through. So you don't know which one he's in. Versus Gaddafi walking down the street, hugging people. Okay. All right. Who's the dictator? Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? And that's when everything kind of turned for me.
Yeah. Poor Barry was absolutely, Barry was 100% a slave to, it still probably is. It still has, I'm sure he still has a teleprompter telling him it's okay to go to the bathroom. I realized that Barack Obama's presidency was the beginning of the end for me on throwing the BS flag on conservative media, and also realizing who the game of politics, because it finally dawned on me that someplace like Guantanamo Bay, a black site where prisoners are tortured, is located in the heart of our supposed communist enemy of Cuba. And its only purpose is to disappear good people out of the Middle East and turn them into terrorists and then kick them back out on the battlefield to perpetuate the global war on terror. And the only good idea he had. Go ahead.
Did you go to Iraq? Were you in Iraq?
Yeah.
So the first mission that I heard there is they went right into the museums to protect the item, the artifacts. No, they went in there to hide the technology. They went in there to hide the history of our past. I mean, I'm sure you guys are into the mud floods and Tartaria and everything.
I'm big
right?
into that. Yeah. I don't know if a lot of the team knows about that though.
The world fairs are literally was like the takeover, right? There's so much every day. I mean, that is such a deep rabbit hole, but our history is a lie from in the 1900s. You guys saw my interview with Ruth, right?
That was my favorite thing, was the
Yeah.
Ruth interview. That was
that
amazing.
showed everybody on Earth knew the Earth was flat in the 1920s. What?
I was going to thank you for that at some point.
That
Billy,
was an impromptu interview. It was like out of nowhere, and I wasn't even interviewing her about flat Earth. I was
It
interviewing her
hits
about
you,
the
man.
World's
Like it
Fairs.
hits you hard. And I shared it with so many people. That was my favorite video you did.
Thanks. You know what's funny is I did that. It went viral. And on all the shows, I was like, everybody go. We don't have much time. But, we have like a couple years left at best. Go to old age homes and find, people that are over 100 years old that have their wits and interview them. And everyone's like, yeah. And everyone's getting ready to do it. Bam. COVID hit. All nursing homes are closed. Nobody can get in.
God forbid, genocide taking place in the nursing homes.
Okay, Johnny.
It's possible that my video is the cause for the lockdowns.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I bet you it's part of it. Hang on, George, because I want to get Billy, and Billy had multiple questions for David. Billy, can you hear me?
Yes, thanks for bringing me in. Just David, when you mentioned about the planets being within our system, and when you look at the moon, you hear about moonlight, and it's luminous. So what do you think the moon is? The sun is this big hydrogen ball we're told it is, and the planets themselves, what do you think they actually are? Like some people, maybe entities or spiritual bodies or something like that?
I mean, personally, I think the planets they're all named after gods. This is what Mars looks like through a P900. If you zoom in on it, again, people say it's not in focus. You know what? A lot of things aren't in focus. It's the best we could do. I don't think it's a physical object. And as you know, I mean, you look up at Mars, it's the brightest star in the sky. It's brighter than any star. It's bigger. And that's supposed to be reflected sunlight off of a dusty, dirty ball. How does reflected sunlight get brighter as it goes millions of miles, right? It's complete and total nonsense. So, and then when you look at stars, this is my favorite Arcturus. It's not a burning ball, trillions of miles away, that's insanity. And again, scientifically, we can prove that you can't see things at whatever size they tell us they are at nearly those distances. Polaris at 6 light days away. 6 light days. Is it 6 light days or 6 light hours? 6 light days. We'll just go with 6 light days. Doesn't matter. I don't care if you say 6 light months. Could not be seen. Its angular size could not be seen at 6 light days away. Its angular size is way too small for our eye to see, but we can see it with a naked eye. And they tell us it's 433 light years away. Not 433 light days away, which is ridiculous. 433 light years away. Okay. Science tells us that we can't see that. There's no question about it. So getting back to your question, this is the star Capella, another one, amazing. When you look at the stuff, what are they? This is my personal best guess. Souls are the currency of our world, right? They want to steal our soul with the soul lure system. Okay. We have our soul here. We're having an experience. Our soul is a piece of God that's within us, and that we're here expanding the mind of God with, having this soul experience. Our goal, our job here is not to lose control of our soul. Don't sell it. Don't lose it. And don't break anyone else's free will. Be a good person. That's our mission here in this realm that we live in. So maybe in the heavens above, which are right there above us, not infinitely far away in trillions of galaxies, miles away, the stars may be souls, and we transfer in and out of these systems, and we're here. And the sun could be the light of God, right? There's a lot of things that
It's funny you say that. The Bible talks about a third of the stars falling down. So, I mean, I'm actually someone too also open to the stars being souls.
Right. So, so what does that falling down mean? I don't know. We can discuss that. But again, and some Christians get upset when I talk about this. Like the sun, the sun, has a lot of similarities to the son. It walks on water to your feet, and your buddy 20 feet down the beach sees a different line walking to his feet on the water. Okay. And so you're having your own personal relationship with the sun. Right?
There's no reason, Dave. Your metaphors are fantastic. There is absolutely no reason. In fact, just the opposite. If you're a Christian and you understand this paradigm, it makes total perfect sense that the God is teaching you about his reality through your cosmology.
And if you want to go with the story of Jesus, well, Jesus had this was here on earth, incarnated here, just like we're incarnating with a star, the soul from a star. Jesus is incarnating from the light of the sun, the light of the world. Is that, what am I talking about? The sun or the S-U-N or the S-O-N? The sun in the sky feeds us, warms our hearts, takes care of us. It gives us everything. It all goes together. So again, I'm not denying any of the, beliefs, understandings that people have of religious leaders here on earth. But, maybe, like Buddha and other, religious people, maybe they were just at different times, just a different story. Because there's like tons of religions that have the same story.
All
The same,
sun worshiping.
yeah. Well, and we're told not to worship the sun. Well, you know what? This world is inverted. I love the sun. I worship the sun. I enjoy the sun, and I appreciate the sun.
I enjoy the whole creation.
Yeah, I enjoy the whole creation. It's like, and the sun's amazing. The sun is amazing. It gives us, they tell us that the sun causes cancer. The sunscreen causes cancer. The sun cures cancer. Okay.
That was powerful, and I think Amanda Vollmer is really good for that.
How can you believe Amanda Vollmer? She believes in urine therapy.
Yeah, I'll ask her. She's on next. I've got her scheduled in June. I will ask her about that.
So yeah, so listen, I appreciate. I can, because you're not wearing a silly face diaper, I can see your face. I can see when I mention that, you're like, okay, new information coming in. I got some processing to do.
Right. Hey, here's what you're telling me, Dave. What you're showing me. And George, I'll bring you in for your question shortly if you want to come back. I need to back off on trying to discern the level of sincerity. I'm just going to throw it out entirely, not discern level of sincerity for people, and just take their information and say that there's really no way to judge intent, because someone could be doing harm by accident. Someone could be doing harm on purpose. There's just very, very, very.
Or somebody could be sharing two truths that some people can't handle.
Sure.
Right.
All of that is possible.
And when anyone tells me anything, I'm like, that's interesting. Let me look into it. That's interesting. That's crazy. Let me look into it. And my favorite line is, whenever anyone tells me something crazy theory, I go, can't rule it out. Now, there are a few things you can rule out, but not many. It's like, you're like, okay, let me look into that. And I'm always open to new information. I don't have an ego where, like, you know what, if I found out something new, that's great. I'm now smarter.
I'll give you an example.
You know a lot about Johnny. Johnny's like an expert on Jesuits, and he's written 4 books. I mean, so a lot of our information focuses on beliefs and Christianity, Jesuits, the church.
And I was just going to use that, Vinny. I was just going to use an example, is that every once in a while I'll get a critic that says, oh, you're going into flat earth because you want to discredit how bad the Jesuits are.
That's what I said when people brought up flat earth, right? It's like, and then even when I found out, I'm like, okay, the spinning ball is nonsense. I didn't even bring it up on our podcast because I was afraid to discredit all of the other work I had done.
Right.
But then I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Right. One quick one, as we're Billy, I don't know if you had another question. Let me tag on to Billy's question about the sun and moon in relation to what they actually are. What about, is it the lunar eclipse where supposedly the sun flies behind the earth and puts a shadow across the moon? Is that really happening? What is the explanation for a shadow going over the moon? What's going on there?
So again, what is the lunar eclipse? There's lots of arguments about it. But the ball creating a shadow is not the case. When one sphere creates a shadow on another sphere, it comes in as an ellipse. It doesn't pass over in that perfect smiley face as they show us. And it's on this one right here. If you watch it leaves as an ellipse. See that? And that's not what we see. So I recently just put on the app a video. And it's it's a guy showing a video of the eclipse, and it's showing some weird little shadow moving by, and it's Rahu and Ketu, they're claiming. And I'm a big fan of this Rahu and Ketu thing, which is their dark bodies that
Black sun or something.
yeah, and they say it's a snake swallowing. That could just be a metaphor. I don't know about that. But what we do know, the moon is one of the biggest mysteries on the ball Earth or the flat Earth. It's just a huge mystery. But we can rule out that it's the sun, that it's the Earth doing it, because in order for the Earth to eclipse the sun, even if the shadow worked the way they said, it would have to be in a direct line. But we have all of these eclipses where the sun and the moon are still above the viewer, and the eclipse start. Like our last lunar eclipse was filmed where the sun and the moon, I think it was our last one or a recent one, were both above. So the Earth isn't even in between yet. And the eclipse came in from the top. Okay. Forget about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Forget about it.
Yeah. Billy, do you have a follow-on question before I bring George in? If George is even there, he's out there walking under this moonlight. Hang on, George. Billy's another question.
Yeah, I've got a few notes here. So just on the topic of the sun, a lot of people think these days that the sun is whiter. It used to be more yellow, and they're talking about a fake sun as well. Have you got any thoughts on that area?
So yeah, there is a patent out there for the sun simulator, and who the heck knows what they're doing with that. That's definitely, I don't believe that the sun that I see every day is a fake sun as far as faked by man. It could be a fake sun by the creator, but I have not seen proof of the fake sun. But when we look at the sun in certain conditions, this doesn't make any sense in a heliocentric model.
I think the white sun that a lot of people are seeing is because of the chemtrails that are constant. Whitening out everything what I tell people.
Oh, that's what I wanted to bring up earlier. The chem, I was into chemtrails years ago, and you're a conspiracy theory, and just for years I got beaten down. And now they admit that they're doing it, right? For the reasons, I think it's a whole nother thing, but that's not going to get into that. But now they admit it. Patents are out. Bill Gates is even saying he's going to do it. They admit it, and then nobody cares. These are these NPCs that they're like, I called you a conspiracy theorist for 10 years. Now they admit it. Well, I don't want to talk about it. Okay?
Yep.
It's like, well, we have bigger problems in the world. So did I answer the question? I'm not sure.
Somebody commented on my live stream last night that the 5G is that powerful, that's going up, and that's what's making the sun white, and they need to put the chemtrails in place to stop that kind of burning as well. It's like a layer of protection from that.
Can't rule it out.
Yeah.
This distance, Dave, distance of the sun from the Earth. The fact that they tell us, the official story is, hey, the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon, and it just so happens by coincidence to be 400 times further away, creating the optical illusion that they're both the same size. How big are they, and where are they?
So 400 times farther. The chances of a total eclipse happening are 0. Okay, but our eclipses repeat every 18 years. Okay, that shows you that there is wheels in the sky that keep on turning. Okay. That they're not, that it's not a heliocentric spinning beehive system, that it's a precise timepiece, that there are cycles that are beyond what we can even imagine. So how big are they? How far are they? That's something that nobody can answer, but you can go out and do observations yourself. So I live on the water, and I can watch the sunrise, and I could see I'm on Long Island Sound here. So I got land on both sides, and wherever the sun shows up, I can see the sun. I'm like, okay, what does that look like? Forget what I believe. And to me, when I see the sunrise, I think it's about 65 miles away. Okay. And then that means it would set 65 miles away on the other side of me. So it's moving 130 miles in the course of a day.
Critical to this is be your own scientist, be your own healer, be your own pastor. You cannot trust a priesthood. You cannot trust a doctor. You cannot trust a scientist. You got to do it yourself. George, are you there? I need to bring you in. Billy, did we finish your notes? Hang on, Billy. George, go ahead. Get your points in, George.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us today, Dave. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. Okay, couple of things. First, I know you talked about this earlier, how there's all sorts of misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda, and maybe I'm being redundant out there regarding things, well, our cosmology in general, in quotes, flat Earth, in quotes, in particular. So how much are entities like the American CIA or the British MI6 behind this?
I think they're out there just to keep us, the number one thing that the elite have to do is keep us believing we live on a ball. And people are like, what difference does it make? It makes all the difference, because once you see flat Earth, you unsee all the nonsense. You see through the deception, and you realize you're not, you didn't evolve from pond scum, and you're not flying through an infinite space in a distant God at best universe. Okay, that you are at the center of creation, that we're not. There's nothing to be afraid of. Nothing. There's nothing to be afraid of. Right? Fear is the only thing. Think about this. All the tyranny going on in the world. What if I snap my fingers and everyone said, all right, we're no longer paying attention to the government, anything they say, ever. Okay. Well, that's it. They're done. They're finished. There's nothing. We won't even notice them. You won't even know who they are, because nobody's going to pay attention to them. The only control they have over us is in our heads. Right? It's like money. The only value money has is in our belief. I believe that my $10, somebody believes that my $10 is worth a sandwich at their shop, and I give them my $10 and they give me a sandwich. It's all a belief system. Okay. So again, nobody has control over us. And so getting back to the CIA and MI6, their job is to just keep us living in fear and not knowing who we are. That's my opinion.
George, I would just follow up with, I don't know if you got more. The greatest trick the devil ever played was to convince people God doesn't exist. And we can send a whole nother show on who's behind dinosaurs, Darwin, and deep space, and disease. Dinosaurs, Darwin, deep space, and disease. George, I know George, Billy, Vinny, I know you guys got more. Dave, can you stay with us maybe a few minutes past 12:30?
Yeah, I can. Let him ask the rest of his questions.
Okay, go ahead. Billy, let's do George. George, finish your list there.
Okay, follow up to that is, when I talk to people about flat Earth, the majority of the time they're very derisive. They say, well, okay, that's superstitious. Well, do you believe in fairies? Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in the Easter Bunny? I mean, that's just like, I mean, dude, have you ever heard of science? That's generally speaking the reaction I get.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I'll have people say, well, you know what? I've never looked into that. Maybe I will. That's a minority view. And some people, and I've actually come across this once or twice. Well, I've looked into flat Earth, and to me, it just seems untenable. But the vast majority of people whom I talk to are just completely antagonistic.
Yeah, let me try to answer that. Flat Earth isn't something you can do on an escalator. If they're only going to give you the ride of an escalator, talk about the weather instead, because you're not going to get anywhere. And you could say, when I first heard, I like telling people that when I first heard about it, I know their questions already. There's only a certain number of questions because we've all been programmed. So if somebody's listening to you and say, hey, when I heard about flat Earth, I said, that's the dumbest thing ever. We know the Earth is a sphere because boats over the horizon, Sticks and Shadows by Aristophanes, sunsets over the ocean, seasons. Just throw those four out there because those are the first ones on their head. And I go, but then I looked into it and I saw that it was all bullshit. And then they're like, what do you mean? And it's like, well, then I say, what's your number one reason that we think we live on a globe? And they're going to say photos. That's the first thing they throw out. So then you bring up the photos, you show them how the photos are all nonsense. You show them the United States, make your choice. And then you go through it, this one, I should be able to fit eight and a half of these in between the diameter that they tell us, and 8.5 of them goes all the way over here. Okay. The biggest argument in this is it's a closer shot of the Earth and you're not seeing the edge of the Earth. It's really out here. Okay. Well, it's not out here. So then you go there just one by one, and and if people are like, well, I'm only going to give you 2 minutes, talk about something else, because it's not going to matter.
Right.
And just say, listen, and again, my app, you guys are all familiar with my app, right? Of course.
But
Right?
plug it, Dave, because it's exceptional. It's also the gateway to your material.
Right. And so people say, when I search flat earth, you go, I've looked into flat earth. What did you do? Search it? Because if you search it, you're going to end up with garbage. I tell people you can spend 500 hours searching for flat earth and get 2 hours worth of good content if you're lucky. Right. The app bypasses all of that. So, and if you have somebody that's like, okay, interesting, you buy the app for them. Just say, every day when you're having breakfast, watch the daily video, just every day. Then we'll talk about it, and then you got something to talk about. Guess what? You go hang out with your friend. What do you talk about? Weather, sports? Well, sports is over. Weather's nonsense. Okay. It's like, now you have something to talk about. And especially if they're a ball earther, I love talking to ball earthers, right? When I looked at your booking, I'm like, oh, flat earther is great. But this is a great interview. I really appreciate it.
Well,
I
I'm
always
very
make that
excited to have
joke that I love talking to ball earthers, especially ones that hate flat earth, because they're the dumbest, right? They're the ones that have the dumbest ideas. Because if I thought flat earth was what ballers think flat earth was, I would laugh at it too. It's the dumbest thing ever, right? But that's all mind control. So whenever I find myself reacting violently to some new information, which I don't do anymore, I'm like, why am I reacting like that? What programming has gotten me to do that? So, and then again, if you have somebody that's willing to, like, hey, send me a video, like, how you say, how long? If they're like 5 minutes, well, then you send them one of my videos. But if like, send me one, I won't watch TV tonight, I'll watch your video. Send them Marty Leeds, right? The litmus test, Flat Earth, the ultimate litmus test. Send them Eric Dubé's one of his movies, or Hibbler's, or ODD. And they're all on the app too, under movies, under feature Flat Earth movies, right? Just send them one of those. And also, whenever you're sending somebody a video that they're going to watch, try to put it in a playlist with all other videos that you want them to watch. Then click that video, then take the URL out of the menu bar, not from underneath the video. And that way, when they watch it, if they don't hit the stop button, the next video will play when they're done. And if they really watched it, they'll end up watching the next video. And if they watch the next video, they're going to become a flat earther, because they're going to watch the next one and the next one and the next one.
We've
and then you
talked
get that
about
phone
this.
call, dude, you ruined my life. my wife thinks I'm crazy.
There's no substitute for knowing the material. George, let's go around the horn. Vinny, Billy, and George, and then we'll let Dave go, because I do want to keep a little bit over. But Vinny, what else?
David, you just brought up your app. Another great flat earther and channel that I love, and I actually got them. Josh, his name is. Flat Earth Brothers. Now they're founded Earth Brothers.
Yeah, I love those guys. They're the best.
Yes.
They're actually coming out with a big video. They're supposed to premiere
Yes,
it on
that's
the
what I
app.
was just going to tell you. I talked to Josh and I told him how I was going to be on a show with you. And he said to tell you that his brother's almost done with the final card video. And he's hoping to send it to you by the weekend for your app.
Nice. Yeah, it's a long one. So I'm hoping to premiere it on Friday or Saturday or even Sunday. I do longer videos on the weekends and shorter ones during the week, because people have to go to their slave jobs and help promote the nonsense. So again, I'm looking forward to that. Thanks for I was going to reach out to them, but I'm glad they're still working on it. I love their work. In the app under Antarctica, I love their sky ice video. Very simple video about the sky ice. Very, very cool stuff.
They're great guys, and they're doing meetups. They're like getting people to meet up. His channel's doing great. I'm good friends with Josh. I like Josh a lot.
I look forward to meeting those guys in person.
Yeah, so he wanted to do that, and I just wanted to let you know about that. But me,
Awesome.
I'm personally probably gonna try to email you about my stuff with Pac-Man, so maybe we could talk about that more, about with the sun jumping up. You said to try to send you some evidence or something.
Yeah, just try to keep it concise, because I can't look at a tenth of the video the stuff I get. People send me stuff, I'm like, oh man, I wish I had time to look at that. I don't have time. All right. But if you send me something, we're talking here, I'm interested. But people send me these long emails and then I'll read them. I'm like, they could have said that in 3 sentences.
Well,
no offense. I love the communication. I love the passion. I just need somebody. I have to hire somebody to read my emails and send, and tell me what's going on, because I just can't do it.
Now, are you still with Jannerism? I haven't seen Jannerism. I know
Jaronism.
Alex has done his own thing now. It
Yeah,
looks
no,
like.
no. Alex Stein and Jaron and I do a show on
do?
Thursdays called the Baby Truther Show.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's just a fun hangout. It's a hangout. We talk about stuff, we joke about stuff, and
Yeah,
and
really
you know,
good.
and we try to cover everything. We cover different topics. But Jaronism, Globebusters, a lot of shows, because of the censorship, we're all moving over to Rockfin.
Okay. Yeah. Same thing.
ROKFIN. And people say, oh, it's a pay site. Like, what's amazing about Rockfin? It's literally like YouTube used to be. And a lot of people that have YouTube pay the monthly fee to not have commercials, right? You pay for whatever it is. Rockfin's $10 a month. You just sign up under, let's say you sign up under Jaronism, Rockfin /Rockfin.com/Jaronism. Then you get access to the entire platform. You can watch everything, right? All of the good people are going over there. There's like, you can watch stuff. It's like, wow, I forgot what truth sounds like since the censorship started. So I'm plugging Rockfin. Everyone go over there, sign up under whatever channel you like the best. But if you like Jaronism, sign up under Jaronism. It's like YouTube used to be. It's amazing.
Yeah, we need stuff like that. I mean, Johnny has been hammered. We basically had to give up on YouTube recently. It's like the 5th channel down. The purge has been amazing, like you're saying. So it's great to hear.
Yeah, you can apply to Rockfin. Like if you say, hey, I want to come over, I want to bring my content over, they do a quick little interview with you, and they're only bringing over good content. You guys put together a nice show. So
I'll take a look.
Talk to them about that. And then you can like a lot of people do is they do the first, like doing a 2-hour show, they'll run the first hour on YouTube simultaneously, and then they bring the rest over there, because you have to have some exclusive content over there. Like Globebusters does a show on Rockfin, Sunday night show on Rockfin. I think they do half the show on YouTube, and then they do a Wednesday night show that's free on Rockfin. Like you can go to Rockfin, there's free content there, and it's also on YouTube at the same time. So,
okay.
It's the problem. Here's the problem with going over there is the normies, the sleeping people, don't even know anything but YouTube exists. They don't know BitChute exists, Odyssey, Library. They don't know any of these things exist. They just know YouTube. So we need to keep our presence here to bring them over.
Great point.
For something like you, Johnny, what you can do is you can do a promo, where on YouTube you just run the first 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, and then say, you want to hear stuff I can't say here, come on over to Rockfin.
Right.
That's a great point.
And you can nail it. Your stuff stays there. It's well done.
Thanks, Dave. Billy, do you have anything?
Yeah, well, first thing is, you're interviewing Don Lester and David Parker, and I have mentioned to them about urine therapy, and they weren't too keen on ingesting their own toxic material. So if you want to talk to them tomorrow about that, it'd be quite interesting.
Are they pro or anti?
Well, they've wrote a book called What Really Makes You Ill. They're quite well versed on health, and they're kind of saying it's not a good idea to ingest your own toxins.
Well, everybody has their opinion, and again, if you're interviewing Amanda, she'll willingly.
I will ask her about it. You bet.
But I did look into urine therapy back in the day, and I did see a lot of stuff that seemed people were getting grey hairs that were turning back to the normal color, and even growing hair back and stuff like that.
Okay, so, some evidence for it.
Doing that.
Some evidence for it.
The question to finish was I'm wondering about people saying the so-called southern hemisphere, the water goes down a different way than it does in the north. What would be the reason?
Let me ask you a question. When's the last time you went to the southern hemisphere and saw that?
Yeah,
it's a myth. I have toilets that spin in opposite directions in my house. Okay. And I'm not on the equator.
You're on the equator. Come on, admit it.
It's all, that's nonsense. And by the way, if we were on a spinning ball, how the heck would that make water spin in a different way? Unless you were literally on the
It shows how desperate they are. They gotta look at a toilet bowl to prove this.
It's unbelievable. I saw somebody showed there was a lake that had like two sinkholes in it that had like drains, and one of them was going one way, one was going the other way. It's just the way the water enters into the basin.
Exactly.
Most Globers don't even bring that up anymore because they know how stupid it is. I wasn't calling you stupid, by the way.
And Donnie,
Go ahead, George. We're winding up. Billy, was there anything else?
That's more or less it. Just David, I'd like to bring you on my show sometime if you're up for that.
Say that again.
I'd like to invite you onto my show sometime if you're up for that.
Yeah. Shoot me an email. We'll set it up.
Billy is outstanding. Vinny, I didn't mean to cut you off, pal. Were you done?
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing with David, I was going to bring up a show I was listening to months ago where actually someone called into the Jannerism show. I love that show with you and Alex Stein, and it is great.
The
David.
Baby Truther Show, Thursdays afternoon.
Yeah, and is that because of RV? Because RV started.
Yeah, he called us a Baby Truther. You know,
I was listening to all that live, and I was loving it all.
RV's great, and again,
like
RV sometimes goes over the top, but that's okay. I take the good, leave the bad, right?
Exactly.
And
doesn't believe everything he says, but I like a lot of it.
Yeah, and Jaron, you know, like he had a different agreement on the what happened at the Capitol. Well,
yeah, that's what it was about. I remember.
That was Baby Truther. Okay. I'll just say that.
But it was around that time period, someone called into your show and was talking about how he was on a plane, I think like California going to Alaska. And he was saying how the pilot literally was telling the people, look, you're going to see this anomaly, look out the window to the left, and it's going to disappear and it pops out on the right. And Jannerism, I think right away was like, oh yeah, you know, tried to like dismiss it. Tried to say, well, you know, the pilot could have played a trick. And the guy's like, no, like, I'm telling you.
I don't remember that, but that's.
Yeah, it was around that time period. And it's funny because I ended up running into that guy who called your show later on. And I was like, wait, you're the guy who called into that show, and we talked about it. And yeah, I don't know why. I've just been hooked on Pac-Man for like the past year or two. I thought it was spinning around. You know, it all makes sense to me. But there's certain things that have been thrown out to me. And that's what I'll probably get to you on that so we could spend some time on that.
Yeah, I mean, I here's the thing. Can't rule it out. Willing to look at more information. Right now, gun to my head, Pac-Man or spinning around a disc, spinning around a pond, as I call it. I'm taking the second.
All right.
Yeah, and real quick to explain where this Pac-Man theory is, the sun goes off the screen into some sort of tunnel something and then reappears on another part of.
And some people use the Book of Enoch that talks about the sun is going through these doorways or portals, and
right.
then on a certain date, boom, another one.
I got it. It's all interesting, but the problem is, like in the north where I am, you know, or you know, even farther north, in the summer when it's over the Tropic of Cancer, you can see the sun curving around. Like I watch the sun and it goes around, and it's not just going over half. It's not going in a straight line. It's curving away. And in the winter, I see less of that. Right. Yeah. And then the light patterns, like, you know, it doesn't make sense that it's going in a straight line, especially with the layout. The seasons don't work. But again, I'm willing to look at more information.
Great response. George, what's your final point?
Well, thank you for being on with us, Dave. And my last question is, you were talking about this a few minutes ago. You showed the pictures, well, the alleged satellite pictures of the Earth from outer space. So they're presenting to us these CGI images of, not just the Earth from outer space, allegedly, or other planets, but this whole alleged coronavirus, the COVID-19. It is a cartoon character. It is a computer image. So the whole world has been conquered by a cartoon character.
Yes.
Do you want Dave to relate the coronavirus to flat Earth?
Yeah. Here's my relation right here. They're controlling our mind with cartoons. Okay. It's just a friggin' cartoon. No one has ever seen a virus. If they've never seen it, they've never identified it. Again, this is you get your strike right here, but no one's, it's all cartoons. It's all nonsense. Now, I'm not saying there's not something up. There's something up. People are getting sick, right? But it's no worse than a bad flu season. This whole sense of taste and smell thing, I don't know, maybe they did genetically change the flu and scare some people, but the whole death numbers, none of it makes sense. If you follow this, I mean, it's insane. the number of people, and more people are dying from this than the corona.
Outstanding. Dave, I'm so excited to have had you on. It's been an absolute pleasure. And you come across, you do a fantastic job of hitting a very, very controversial topic in a very sincere way. And if anything, you've helped me to step back from, like I said earlier, just not really trying to make that judgment call on intent. You really can't know somebody's intent. There's going to be questions about someone's presentation that you're just not going to be able to answer. You just have to verify the information and let it go at that.
Yeah. I look forward to hearing Amanda on with you. Make sure you send me a link if I don't see
Will
it.
do. And I've got your
Yeah.
email, and I'll put this information in our upload to you. You were able to record it. Do you also want my copy, or
If you edit it down and give me a copy, where are you going to upload this to?
I'll put it on my Odyssey. It's all I have
Okay.
right now.
Yeah, just send me a link. I'll share it.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
All right, Dave. Thank you. We'll
Anything
be
in
in touch.
Connecticut? Anything in Connecticut going on, David? You
Yeah,
doing anything?
Connecticut's insane. It's the Corrupticate, I call it. And they're
I
talking.
lived there for a while.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you're doing any events there. I got flat
Oh.
earth friends in Connecticut.
We did an event at in Berlin, Connecticut, at the beginning, just before the spring, and I figured 10-20 people would show up, and then like 150 people showed up. It was amazing. We'll probably do up another one. My buddy, who's a flat earther, Darren, he's got a diner in upstate Connecticut, and it was perfect. Because he closes down at noon or whatever, and or 1 o'clock, and then we had the whole diner. It was amazing. Food, people, a great time.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Guys, thank you so much. David, thank you. And I'll get this information to you. Send it linked to the email you just sent to me.
Very good. Thanks.
Have a great day. Take
All right,
care,
guys. Thanks. See ya.
God bless.